Alright, so let me just establish a few things before I actually make this video. I'll try to just quickly explain to you a couple things that you guys will find important. So first of all, this video is going to be by far the most serious video of the reaction videos I've made. This won't be a humorous video. So if you're looking for a humorous video, this is just a disclaimer. This is not going to be the one. 99% of the time, my reaction videos will be humorous. That will be the intention behind them. This is going to be a very serious one, and it's not going to be a very uplifting one. So I just wanted to let everybody know that before we got into the video, so nobody goes into this with the wrong idea, wrong intention. If you had a tough day and you're looking for someone to make you feel better and laugh, this is not the video for you. Go check out some of my other reaction videos or check out another channel, because this one's going to be a little bit more serious than usual. And secondly, the individual that we're talking about today, I don't even actually know how to pronounce his name. I don't know if it's Prince EA or Prince, I'm just going to call him Prince EA. But that dude, for some reason, he just seems to be God's gift to the internet. Like, everybody loves this guy. I mean, freaking Leafy is here, the channel that makes fun of people for being autistic or young or weird all the time. He made a video on this guy, and that video got a ton of dislikes. I'm talking more dislikes than likes, because his community could not handle the fact that he just made fun of a guy who said some ridiculous stuff. They took it personally and said he went too far. I mean, they didn't give a shit about, like, any of the other videos he made. I don't even think Leafy's a bad guy, but he does some shit that, is a lot more questionable and reprehensible than questioning a guy who completely ignores science in favor of some preachy bullshit. But we'll get into that. So I'll just say right off the bat, I'm not a big fan of this guy. I don't think he's a malevolent person. I don't think he has bad intentions, but I don't really like what he stands for, and I don't think he provides nearly as much for the people watching as they think he does. And I'm not saying that he can't maybe cheer you up on a bad day, but what he does cannot offer you life-changing advice. Like, I'll highlight a couple of videos in particular that I think are either downright malicious, clickbaity/malicious, or are just videos that I vehemently disagree with, and I think offer very bad advice to some of the people that they're supposed to give advice to. So we'll get into that. If you disagree with me, fine. If you're a big fan of this guy, you're probably not going to like this video. So if you keep watching, just know that. If you want to unsubscribe because I have a different view of a YouTuber than you do, I mean, go fucking ahead. I'm sure that I probably have a different political view than you. I have different view on what kind of ice cream I like. So if me having a different opinion than you offends you, then go ahead and unsubscribe. I don't really care that much about homogeneity. If you dislike the video, that's not a big deal. It's completely fine. You can just express your opinion to me. But I'm going to tell you the way I think about this, because this is something that I've been thinking about for a while, and I wanted to make this video, but I don't think this video is going to be very well received, so I might just make another one tomorrow to kind of mitigate the damage. But even though I don't think this video is going to be well received, I wanted to make it anyway. So this ended up being a really long intro, but I don't want to say any more bullshit. Let's get into the actual video right now. Now, I'm not going to beat around the bush on this video. The very first clip we're going to address is the video clip I have the biggest problem with, and it's something that's affected me personally. And it's just a topic that I feel it's somebody trying to be preachy on a topic they have no idea what the fuck they're talking about in. And it to me, it just comes off as really ill-conceived and ignorant. And maybe I'm an asshole for thinking this way. I don't feel like an asshole for thinking this way, but if you do, let me know where I'm wrong. Like, let me know where I'm wrong in the comments. And watch the source videos too. Don't just watch what I'm showing you. I don't want you to feel like I'm editing this video in a particular way to make it convey my points. Watch the raw source videos, which will be linked in the description. You can support the guy at least. And see if you agree or disagree, and see if I'm getting this wrong. I really would like to know from you guys if I'm somehow being like a bigot or a hypocrite, or somehow I'm missing something here, because I feel like this man's view of depression is very limited and in some ways insulting. So I don't think he has bad intentions, but it reminds me a lot of what I've been told by a lot of people who I don't think understand depression throughout my life. So let's go ahead and watch some of the video that talks about the parts I'm talking about.
You are not depressed. Stop saying that. Oh, snap. I got people mad already, ready to go off on me in the comments. How dare you question my depression? Ready? See, you are the sky. Depression, frustration, sadness, these are passing clouds. They come, they go. Some are black, some are white. Sometimes they pepper the sky, and sometimes they fill the sky. But they always come and go.
See, so this guy starts off the video with a bunch of, bullshit to pull in views about how you're not depressed, all this shit, you're gonna go off on me in the comments, yada yada yada. None of that really has any substance or meaning behind it, and I'm not gonna show the video of that. I don't feel like getting a copyright strike just so that I can show his repetitive bullshit. Instead, I'm gonna focus on that small piece that I showed you. Because he says all this stuff like, don't protect that which causes you suffering. Okay, well, I mean, we could talk about that bullshit, but I don't even think that's relevant. But the biggest problem with his video is that his central thesis is completely ignorant and wrong. Because he seems to think that this idea of depression is like this thing that comes and goes. You have a bad day and it hurts, but you have good days too. And you have a bad period and you have a good period. And it gets better and it's a great time for everybody. And you have some down times and some up times. And that's great. And you know what? That's true for an average normal person. That's the way your mind's supposed to work. You're supposed to have times that are better than other times. You're going to have some shitty times in your life pretty much no matter what, unless you live in an absolute bubble. But there are people out there, Princier, who pretty much every day of their fucking life feels like shit. And I'm talking about every day they wake up and they want to kill themselves. Every day they don't get joy out of anything. This is not something that comes and goes for them. This is something that people have to deal with for 10 plus years, for 20 plus years, for 30 plus years. I can tell you that a lot of people in my family tree, in my history, have had to deal with this shit for 30 plus years. They've lived this way every day, wishing they were dead, wishing that they were somewhere else, wishing that they didn't exist, hating themselves for 30 plus years. I'm only 18 years old. I'm not going to even talk that much shit about myself because my life is fucking easy and privileged. Okay, I'm depressed. I don't even give a shit about myself. There are people in my family. There are people I know. There are people I've met. They've had to deal with this shit for an unbelievable, consistent amount of time. I'm not talking about something that comes and goes. You have your up times and your down times. No, that's fucking bullshit for a lot of people, okay? So, yes, everybody has what you would call depressions. Yeah, every normal person has a time where they feel down. That is true. There are people who their entire life, or multiple years of their life, or as long as they can remember, every day is a down day. And maybe you have one day that isn't a fucking down day in every 2 months. No, this is bullshit, and saying that things come and go when they don't fucking come and go is just insulting to those, and it makes people feel even more alone and isolated when you preach this bullshit and almost everybody agrees with you and calls you a bigot for disagreeing. No, that's not the way this shit fucking works, okay? Yes, everybody feels sad sometimes, but some people do feel sad almost all the time. And if you're gonna put all this shit about being depressed in your title, you have to not treat actual depression like it doesn't exist. Because that's fucking cancer, okay? Don't do that shit to people. That's fucked up. So that's the first thing I want to say. Let's look at another part of this video as well. So you want to know the truly horrible part? I was actually going forward in the video. I'm like, okay, he's got to have something after this. I'd seen the video a few times. I didn't just make this video on the whim. But I figured, I was like, there's got to be some part of this I'm missing, but I'm forgetting. I just don't want to miss anything in this video. No, but literally the whole fucking video is him just saying, depression comes and goes. That's literally the whole fucking video. He uses some weird fucking obtuse metaphor for remote control. And he adds some random shit about faith and enlightenment. Literally words that mean nothing in the context he's using them. But essentially all he does is he sits there with his little smiley face and tells you that depression comes and goes for 2 minutes and 28 seconds. With absolutely no scientific basis in any of the shit he's saying. This is literally just a dude sitting by his computer smiling, telling you that depression comes and goes. I don't even know what to say to this shit. 440 million... no, sorry, 440... 100,000 views. Fuck, I don't even know what I'm saying. You get the point. 440,000 people have seen this video. And you know what they say about it? Everybody overwhelmingly supports it and loves it. They love what this guy says. He just sat there and smiled, looked at the camera for 2 minutes, and diminutized a serious problem. Mental health is a serious issue, and people who shit on it like Princier does, I mean, sure, this video is probably going to give a little bit of motivation to someone who actually isn't depressed and thinks they are because they saw some post on Tumblr that makes them feel like they're depressed because they had a bad day or something bad happened, once in a while to them. Sure, this video might actually help that person. I'm guessing most of this guy's fans probably are people who, had a bad day and click on the video. That's great, but it bothers me that this guy's making this video apparently trying to give advice to people who are depressed, and he's just talking completely out of his ass in a way that, at least to me, it makes it feel very much like this problem doesn't exist, fucking get over it, change your mental schema. And I know that's not what I don't know if that's what he means to do or not. I think he's just trying to sell shit and, grow his brand, and he's trying his best to help people feel better, but this is not the way you help people feel better. If you know anything about the way psychology works, psychiatry, any of that shit, this is not the way you deal with depression. There are very serious ways you have to deal with it. It's a very difficult thing to deal with. It requires very good psychology and psychiatric care to deal with the problem, and this kind of shit is not the answer. If anyone out there is genuinely depressed, I don't mean you're having a bad week, a bad month, maybe even a bad year maybe, but if you genuinely are depressed, these kind of videos will not help you. You need to get actual help, and this kind of shit is no substitute. And it actually makes people worse by watching this shit because it takes the problem that's actually very serious and it turns it into this trivial fucking game where if you just play word magic and bash your head in the right way, it'll just magically disappear. I wish that's the way it worked, I can't sleep at night because of how fucking scared I am of what's to come in my life. I literally cannot sleep at night unless I take a fuck ton of drugs that are really bad for me. So a lot of nights, I just don't fucking sleep. And you know what? Holding a fucking remote control is not going to change that for me, Princier. I'm sorry. I'm glad you think you could help me out with that shit. But you know what? Your fucking remote control analogy did not save my life. I don't think you tried to be an asshole here. But you were an asshole because you talk about all these issues like they're fucking simplistic. They can be just put in some cool little word wrap. And then they're just neatly packaged and ready to go. This guy's entire channel, we're going to watch a few more of his videos, is just blatant generalizations of serious issues and topics in a very pandering way that's designed to make people feel better for a second and feel like they did some deep thought when in fact they didn't do shit. So, if you took away the little stupid rapping part from his statements, you'd see how basic and stupid they really are. And I honestly, I don't know why everybody supports this guy and everybody gets so on this guy's dick and protects this guy's side anytime he's criticized. I'm probably going to get 80 dislikes and 2 fucking likes on this video. You know what? If that happens, fuck, I don't even care. That doesn't bother me. I'm fucking ready for it. But for the love of me, I cannot understand what this guy offers other than blatant, shallow motivation with no basis in actual fact or reality. This guy's channel is literally, making somebody feel better on a bad day if they don't want to actually face anything regarding reality or actually get to the source of their issues. That's all I can fucking think of. Let's watch another video. This one is Why School Sucks. I'm sure he's got some enlightening stuff for all of us on this one. Let's see what the fuck he has to say.
What does that mean? It means that true education is not merely learned through a textbook. And the way to prove that one understands something is not merely through a test. This is the old way, the chalk and talk way, the way of memorizing facts and dates, then taking a test and then forgetting about them a week later. The best advice I could give a student is figure out how you learn. Just because you fail a test doesn't mean you're slow. Just because you're having a hard time understanding something doesn't mean it's impossible. Because there are no bad students, only inflexible teachers. Yeah, I went there. See, nobody is slow.
Okay, well, let me be completely honest and fair to the guy here. This video was not nearly as bad as his shit stain on depression. It was still a terrible video, but it was not as bad as his previous one. It would have been very hard to follow up with something as ignorant as terrible as his previous video, so that's in no way a compliment to him. But I'm at least impressed he didn't match his previous fucking performance, so I'll give him credit for that. He actually brings up a few decent points in this strange convoluted video, the best of which would be where he says the best advice he could give to a student is to figure out how they learn and not just give up because they're struggling. I think that's very good advice to give, and I can recommend that shit. The parts I would disagree with would be this idea that there is no such thing as a bad student and only stubborn teachers. There is definitely such a thing as a bad student. There are people who are fucking lazy, don't give a shit about being there, are completely privileged, and do not take the school experience completely seriously. The only reason why I'm at a good university is because nobody gave a shit in high school. I'm not a good student. I'm not fucking smart. I just gave a shit. Like, I'm not talking about give a little bit of a shit. I'm talking about like my entire life was school. That's not realistic or normal for anyone to do. But my point in being is that if you're struggling in school and that's truly all you care about and you want to get better, you might need to put a lot of hours into some shit. Because there were classes that I had to fail/drop multiple times in high school. To be fair, I was good at some subjects. Some of them were fucking hard for me. And I agree that you shouldn't give up because of that, but the biggest thing I would say is that there is such a thing as you being a bad student, and I think sometimes you need to have some self-reflection and be willing to actually look at yourself and see if there's something more you can do. And it's not to say that you're going to have the same easiness doing things as everyone else, but you should be honest with yourself, and if there's things you can do to do better, be willing to make those changes and really push yourself. Like if you're jacking off for like 4 hours a day, if you barely do your homework, if you sleep in class, text in class, and then comment on this video saying school fucking sucks, not only are you missing his point, but you're also failing yourself, and you're proving that this point that he's mentioning is bullshit. Like, if you're not trying your best, which is probably what 85 to 90% minimum of high school students do nationwide, just not try your best because you have other priorities or because you don't give a shit. But there's some chemical balance shit involved in this. I don't want to make it seem like people are bad just because they don't give a shit, but if you're not giving a shit, that is on you too. It's not just on your fucking teachers. So I think the biggest problem with what this video, and I'm sure he's doing this unintentionally, is this video is indirectly giving students a way to cop out, take the blame off themselves, and put it on society and put it on teachers. Which, in my opinion, is generally speaking fucking bullshit. There are, of course, some examples of bullshit teachers. I don't want to take that away. But if you're struggling across the board in a lot of classes, and if you're generally speaking not... You can be honest with yourself. If you can honestly, it'd be very hard. You don't have to tell me. Tell yourself. Look in your own heart. If you're not trying your best, if you're not genuinely putting as much effort into it as you can, I'm talking... If you don't get something, you can spend 4 hours on it at night to really get that concept, maybe even sacrifice an hour of sleep. If you're not giving it your all to really push yourself to understand shit, not just working in class, but working on home as well, looking things up. If you're not doing that shit, you can't truly blame your teachers. You have to put at least some of the culpability on yourself, if not most of it. And so I think this lesson, this is meant to inspire, but it also gives way to relieve pressure in a way that allows people to give up. So that's the part that I think is bullshit about it, is that he's generalizing a nuanced topic again. It's not such a simple issue. There are people who genuinely are struggling and genuinely have bad teachers, but that's not the overwhelming case. Think about there's a lot of people who go to school and don't give a shit, and it's not a terrible thing, but it's not fair to not give a shit and then blame your teachers. It's okay to not give a shit, but then realize it was your fault. That's all I'm fucking saying. And then the other part that I had a problem with was this idea that nobody has a learning disability and that you just have to learn in a different way. Again, that's insulting to people who genuinely have learning disabilities. This is a useful video for somebody who's just having a tough day or maybe had a bad class and needs to bounce back and find another way to learn. But to someone who genuinely has a learning disability, I'm talking about someone who has like a mild level of mental retardation or a serious one or has Down syndrome, they're going to watch this video and say, what the fuck? Are you telling me that I'm just being held back by society and I don't have a genuine mental disability? Because there are a lot of people who genuinely do. And I don't think that it's fair to just blame that on society. Sometimes shit just happens. Some people really do have mental disabilities. And so, I don't think that's his intention, but really, all these videos are, what I'm trying to get at is that they're ways for people who are essentially normal, don't have any real disease or disorder or issue, to look at themselves and feel better and take the blame off themselves. Or just, if you can snap your fingers and change the way you're thinking to get rid of your issue in like 2 to 3 seconds, then, I mean, that's great, but there are a lot of people who have more serious issues than that. I take issue to the way this guy handles these topics, because it's essentially a shitty motivational speaker, and in the process he's glossing over some really important issues while pretending to sound deep. Like, I could easily just cut this shit out, and like, if he just made this video 4 seconds long and he said, figure out how you learn, it would have been a more effective and honest video. But if you put all this other preachy bullshit in it that's designed to make people feel better, like, and that's just my honest opinion. So again, I don't hate the guy, but I don't respect the way that he's handling these nuanced topics. I don't think it's appropriate, and I don't think it is a way that's going to genuinely help anyone out besides someone who's totally normal and just like maybe needs a slight boost in confidence or some shit like that. And I think in a lot of ways, again, yeah, that same shit, it doesn't help you out to blame other people for issues that are your own at the same time. So again, I get what you're doing, man. I don't agree with the way you're executing it. So I'm going to look at one more video, and I'm not entirely sure which one it is. I'm going to look at a couple of his videos, but we're going to cut to one more clip, and that'll happen right now.
Did you know the average person spends 4 years of his life looking down at his cell phone? Kinda ironic, ain't it? How these touch screens can make us lose touch. Technology has made us more selfish and separate than ever. 'Cause while it claims to connect us, connection has gotten no better. And let me express first, Mr. Zuckerberg, not to be rude, but you should reclassify Facebook to what it is, an anti-social network.
Now, a lot of people who are a lot more intelligent, have a lot more camera presence and experience doing this shit than me, have covered this one before. It's called Can We Auto-Correct Humanity? I'm not going to delve too deep into it because I already know people are going to fucking hate me for it, because for some reason, this one really pisses people off. All I'm going to say is that there are people out there who genuinely cannot easily make friends, and that is not the fucking result of the internet. Because, believe it or not, in the 80s and before, there were a lot of people who were fucking antisocial. And you know what? They didn't really have a place to go. They just kind of sat at home and read books sometimes if they liked that shit, or just sat alone. You know what? For some people, going on the internet is actually a good thing because they never had fucking friends to begin with. I can tell you I've known a lot of people. Fuck, I'll just include myself in this shit, okay? Whatever, I don't give a fuck. I know you guys are probably all gonna hate me after this shit anyway, but okay, yeah. There are people out there, myself included, you never have friends to begin with. Not even, like, there was a long age where I was completely not allowed to use the fucking computer, right? Like, it just wasn't an option for me. I was not given the choice between using the computer and not, because my parents wanted me to, fully develop and shit, so I wasn't allowed to even fucking use electronics till I turned, 10. Before that shit, I was still incredibly lonely. I only did things with my parents because I still had fucking trouble making friends. There are people of different types. There are people who are introverts and extroverts. There are people who are more shy than others and are more social than others, are more socially adept than others. There are some people who force themselves on people when they're kind of socially awkward and they just do that shit. That was never me, especially after middle school, because I just felt so awkward about it, There is an option where you can just not talk to people rather than make a fool out of yourself. And so, for some people, the internet can actually be a good thing that can help you talk to people, even if it's in a limited capacity. I disagree with this idea that internet connectivity is fundamentally a bad thing. I can also tell you right now, being in college, it's a fucking blessing to have people to talk to back at home, especially when everyone I'm around is fucking getting drunk or, going out partying and doing shit. And that's completely fine for them to do. Those are just not activities I can relate to them doing. So it's nice to have another option of something to do, people to talk to that I can have more in common with when meeting other people. Again, it's not to say there's not some level of truth to what he's saying in any of these videos. It's just super, super overgeneralized. And it's said in such a smug and overarchingly confident way. I feel like addressing these complex issues that really need to be analyzed very seriously in just such a sweeping, broad way with no depth in a fucking rap, I find that highly inappropriate. And I think these videos really only serve as something to go, I feel good about myself now. Look at how enlightened I am for watching this video. I'm never going to think about this shit again, or I'm going to think about it to the depth of Prince EA. These are not videos for people who are truly fucking wanting to think about this shit. They're for people who want to feel better about themselves for having watched the video. and for people who want a quick pep boost. So again, the problem I have with this channel is it takes itself too seriously, and that the videos are bullshit. Like, it's not that they don't have any degree of truth to them, it's just the way that it's conveyed is completely... It's like... Could you imagine if the way... I know, some people actually do this shit, but to me it's the same idea as if you just think of politics in very A and B, black and white manners. There's a right way and a wrong way. This is right, that's wrong. It's not the way the fucking world works. I know it's great to think about that shit that way. It's very mentally relieving to think of a world in a very right-wrong pattern with no in-between. Generally speaking, strong personalities who gravitate to right-wrong answers tend to be the most respected people on all social media platforms and all just platforms in the world. And I guess maybe that's my problem, is this guy just seems to be the king of the fucking right-wrong overgeneralization bullshit, adding on an intentionally vague element and some other preachy bullshit. So for me, this guy is just... I don't like what he stands for in that he just oversimplifies topics that deserve a more serious discussion. And he does it in such a convincing way that gets overarching support that, to me, it just bothers me. It's like, to me, it's like he teaches the first grade version of all these fucking subjects, and even then teaches a partially true version of the first grade version of these subjects. I want to see an actually serious discussion of this shit that's not just him smiling and rapping in the background. So, you know what? If his videos make you feel better about yourself, or make you feel better about your day, keep watching them. There's nothing wrong with that. The reason why I don't like them is I think that they bastardize and trivialize some serious topics that deserve a more nuanced discussion. And I think that when this kind of shit becomes the norm, or just millions of people just get almost brainwashed into thinking of these issues the way that a guy does, who puts no critical, meaningful thought into them behind the very surface level, right or wrong, black and white type stance on this shit, that bothers me, because I want people to think more critically than this guy's willing to, and more critically than he wants his audience to think. That's all I gotta say. I know most of you probably disagree with me. I'm sure many of you probably gave up on watching this fucking video a long time ago, and either because it didn't interest you, or because you fucking hated the concept of having this guy attacked. One of the two. Probably most of you just didn't give a shit about the video, which is completely fine and normal. But thanks for watching, anyone who watched it through. Even if you didn't watch all of it, thank you very much. And I appreciate you guys taking time to watch this video, even if you disagree with me. I just appreciate you taking the time to hear my opinion and my thoughts behind it. And thanks for watching. Hopefully you got something out of the video, even if you didn't enjoy it. And have a nice day. I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.